For the first time in 5 years, the Lakers are entering a season led by a 26-year-old superstar. With Luka Doncic dazzling on one end, LeBron still performing like an all-NBA caliber player, and a summer of roster tweaks aimed at strengthening the team, basketball in LA is buzzing with excitement. But what should we realistically expect from them in 2026, and do they have what it takes to contend for a championship? The Lakers had an intriguing 2025 campaign. Despite ranking in the top 10 offensively and posting a middling defense, they outperformed their net rating more than any other team in the league, finishing third in the Western Conference with 50 wins. Yet, traditional metrics only tell part of the story. The season was split into two dramatically different halves, marked by one of the most jaw-dropping trades in NBA history, the acquisition of Luka Doncic, which instantly shifted the franchise's trajectory. Integrating Luka wasn't seamless, though. He had to adapt to a completely new system while still recovering from injury. After that adjustment period, the Lakers hovered around average on both ends of the court, finishing with an 18-13 record in that stretch. While their star power, Luka, Reeves, and Braun, made them one of the most dangerous shot-creating trios in the league, the supporting cast offered little else. Defensively, a backcourt featuring Luka and Reeves was always vulnerable to dribble penetration, and without the personnel to anchor the paint, the team had to rely on creative strategies, primarily switching, to cover the gaps. The Lakers leaned heavily on aggressive help defense, essentially trying to zone the ball at all times. It worked to an extent, but it was a bit gimmicky, and a savvy offensive team like the Wolves could exploit every weakness. With LA switching constantly, they could dictate matchups, deciding whether Ant or Randall would take their shot. But the aggressive help defense also meant someone was always open, and the Wolves had enough reliable three-point shooters to punish them. For most of the series, the Lakers tried going small, but without a true big in the paint, Minnesota dominated the offensive glass. Essentially, the Wolves got everything they wanted both inside and out. LA had no choice but to go small because they only had one somewhat reliable big on the roster, and he wasn't much of an offensive threat beyond lobs. Without a rim-running big man or an elite half-court slasher, the Lakers couldn't apply pressure at the rim. Meanwhile, the Wolves not only controlled the paint offensively but also shut it down defensively, thanks to Rudy Gobert's presence and timely switches. The Lakers' struggles were compounded by a lack of transition play. Instead of pushing the pace, they found themselves jacking up threes without the shot making to make it effective. In short, the series was a two-way collapse. Inconsistent scoring, porous defense, and all of LA's weaknesses were fully exposed. They lost in a swift 5 games, highlighting the urgent need for roster retooling. That process began with the addition of DeAndre Ayton. No longer forced to go small, the Lakers now had a pick-and-roll big to complement their ball handlers and provide the interior presence they sorely lacked. DeAndre Ayton is a particularly dangerous scoring threat because he can attack defenses on multiple levels. Over the past 3 seasons, he has been one of the league's most efficient scorers, not just at the rim, but also from short mid-range and long mid-range spots. That effectiveness comes from a rare combination of size, athleticism, and touch. Standing as a legit 7-footer with a 7 feet 6 inches wingspan, Ayton moves exceptionally well for his size and pairs that mobility with impressive vertical explosiveness, making him a major lob threat. If defenses sag off him to protect the paint, his shooting touch makes him lethal in short roll situations. He can step into a 50% mid-range jumper at any moment, forcing defenders to make tough choices. Double the ball handler or leave Ayton open, which in turn creates space for corner shooters. His decision-making in these situations is sharp. He can attack downhill, recognize help defenders, and punish overplays. In short, Ayton is one of the more dynamic pick-and-roll bigs in the league. While he isn't the strongest screener or the most forceful finisher, pairing him with a ball handler capable of creating advantages and making smart reads allows him to thrive. In Los Angeles, he finds the perfect home for his skill set alongside Luka Doncic, arguably one of the most dynamic pick-and-roll ball handlers in NBA history. With Luka orchestrating and Ayton threatening from multiple levels, the Lakers now have a potent combination that can stretch defenses, punish rotations, and open up the floor in ways they've never been able to before. Luka Doncic has also added more off-the-dribble three-point shots to his arsenal, hitting them at a solid 36% clip. That means defenses can't simply sag off him. When he comes off a screen, they have to actively contest or run him off the line. Beyond that, Luka has the size, handle, and use of space to attack anywhere inside the arc. Once he's in the paint, his touch and finishing ability make him one of the most dangerous scorers at both the rim and short mid-range, creating a true 3-level scoring threat. Defenses know the goal is to keep the ball out of his hands. Whether that involves trapping, hedging, or a high drop, the priority is stopping him from entering the paint with a live dribble. But Luka's vision and passing make that nearly impossible. He's a top-tier lob passer and masterful at using the threat of a lob to manipulate help defenders, opening up the corners for shooters. Put a rim-running threat alongside him, and he can create high-value shots that will dot, of course. Capitalizing on that requires proper floor spacing. LA's catch-and-shoot options are solid but mixed. Rui and Ravia have proven reliable, though neither is a high-volume threat. Reeves and LeBron provide spacing not only through their shooting but also with their movement off the catch. Others like Smart, Vincent, and Kleba can shoot with volume but are inconsistent, while Dalton Connect offers a specialist option who can step in when needed. Overall, the Lakers have the pieces to space the floor effectively, and their lineups are far from one-dimensional. LeBron James is still more than capable of creating for himself, whether through pick and rolls in transition or by exploiting mismatches in the post. The same applies to Reeves, who is a skilled pick-and-roll ball handler capable of scoring in multiple ways and creating opportunities for teammates. Both also provide value off the ball, with LeBron able to operate almost like a pick-and-roll big at times. The Lakers' offense is incredibly versatile, and a lot will depend on which version of Luka Doncic shows up. In recent seasons, Luka has struggled with injuries, weight, and the natural effects of aging, which has slightly diminished his ability to beat defenders off the dribble without a screen. 4 years, he averaged roughly 4.5 to 5 shots at the rim per 75 possessions, peaking at nearly 7 in 2020. The last 2 seasons, however, have been his lowest volume interior scoring years, with only about 3.5 attempts at the rim. This has impacted his isolation scoring, an area where he had developed into one of the all-time greats. While he remains elite, he's slightly less efficient in isolation, though his improved three-point and mid-range shooting helps offset some of that decline. This context helps explain LA's offensive struggles against the Wolves. Their switching defense limited Luka's ability to generate rim pressure consistently, which caused the offense to stall at times. Despite this, he still produced an efficient 30 points per game in the series, but the rest of the offense wasn't fully engaged. Over the summer, Luka's weight loss campaign has made him lighter on his feet, which should help him regain some of that rim pressure while keeping him healthier overall. If he can combine his improved driving game with his elite shooting and overall mastery, the Lakers could be on the verge of a peak Luka. And with it, potentially the best offense in the NBA. On the defensive side, however, there's more uncertainty. DeAndre Ayton has shown the ability to defend at a high level in competitive settings, using his length, verticality, and mobility to impact the paint. But the question remains whether LA's supporting cast can consistently help him protect the rim and prevent breakdowns. Ayton's length, mobility, and verticality allow him to execute a variety of pick-and-roll coverages effectively. While effort and consistency have historically been question marks, he has shown strong commitment on defense throughout preseason. That said, he isn't a one-man paint protector like WBY or Gobert. To maximize his impact, he needs teammates who can navigate screens and contain ball handlers. As noted earlier, a backcourt of Luka and Reeves will always struggle to prevent dribble penetration, so point-of-attack defenders are crucial. LeBron remains a smart team defender, capable of making the right rotations and matching up with strong creators at the 3 or 4. However, his agility limitations make it difficult for him to stay in front of quicker guards or wings, leaving a gap in the lineup that needs filling. This is where Jared Vanderbilt fits in. He doesn't shoot threes, or really score much at all, but he is the team's most versatile defender. Vanderbilt can match up with any position thanks to his length, agility, and motor, but the trade-off is sacrificing the spread pick-and-roll setups that make LA's offense so potent. That's likely why the Lakers brought in Marcus Smart. Smart can pressure the ball, navigate screens, switch across multiple positions, and operate as a high IQ defensive anchor. Offensively, he isn't a great shooter, but he isn't afraid to take shots, can heat up in volume, and serves as a reliable passer who can drive advantages when the situation calls for it. The downsides are his health. He's played only 54 games over the past 2 seasons, and the size issue. Deploying him in the starting or closing lineup sacrifices interior size, putting even more defensive responsibility on Ayton. That explains why players like Rui are so valuable. He brings size, spacing, and efficient three-point shooting, which fits the ideal 4 spot until defensive rotations test him. On the perimeter, players like Rui and Hayes can stretch the floor, but maintaining size while defending the ball at a high level has been a challenge. Jake LaRavia may be more important to the rotation than many realize. He can hit threes, maintain frontcourt size, and defend, but he doesn't excel in any single area and won't solve all of LA's defensive issues. Across the board, the rotation lacks versatility, which is critical in the playoffs. If they deploy Vincent or Smart for point-of-attack defense, they sacrifice size and spacing. If they prioritize Rui or LaRavia for size and spacing, they lose perimeter defense. If they go all-in offensively with Connect, stops become scarce. And if they lean on Vanderbilt for defense, their offensive identity suffers. The frontcourt defense is generally solid. Ayton and Hayes provide a reliable 5-man rotation, with flexibility to go small using Braun, Rui, Vanderbilt, or LaRavia. The problem is that none of the core 4 are elite on-ball defenders. To succeed deep in the playoffs, LA would need a Draymond Green-type presence. For that reason, it wouldn't be surprising to see the Lakers closing games without Reeves. While his offense is a major boost, pairing Smart and LaRavia in the lineup could yield better two-way balance. Ultimately, the roster is constrained by difficult lineup choices. Offensively, it checks nearly every box, and if the Lakers adopt an all-out scoring approach like the Suns did in the 2000s, they could outgun most teams. But they lack the ability to field consistently strong two-way lineups like other contenders. With LeBron starting the season injured, a 50-win campaign is possible but not guaranteed. Come playoff time, the pathway to the finals is unclear given the strength of the Western Conference. That said, this isn't a championship or bust season. Luka is under contract through 2030, and will still only be 30 years old, giving the Lakers a window to build around him. Moves like adding Ayton, LaRavia, and Smart show they're heading in the right direction. What a future championship core will look like, whether it still involves LeBron or Reeves, is uncertain. But one thing is clear, the Lakers have an all-time great offensive engine in the heart of his prime, and we're entering a new era of Los Angeles basketball.